Dana Denha, and you're watching FYI. As the winter chill sets in, a lot of us will be hibernating for the season. But what if getting out and bundling up and enjoying the snow could benefit the city in immeasurable ways? There are plenty of opportunities to support the ecological health of our community through the Natural Area Preservation, or NAP. Joining me is Tina Stevens, volunteer and outreach coordinator for NAP. Welcome back to the show, Tina.
Thanks, Dana.
So why don't you tell me first how you guys have sort of evolved with the pandemic to make people feel safe so they can still volunteer with NAP?
Yeah, we've had a lot of changes, as you can imagine. For a while, we weren't hosting any sort of event, no gatherings at all. And we created a new program. We celebrated our garlic mustard weed out week, where we encouraged folks to go out and pull garlic mustard and other spring invasives, either in their own yard or in our parks. And we set up a reporting mechanism so that we could still track the good work that was being done, even though we weren't gathering in the group and measuring bags and pounds like we typically do. We also celebrated the City Nature Challenge, which is an organization that has existed for years, and NAP really never engaged in it very much. But they have a contest where they have cities compete against each other to see who can identify the most plants and animals in their region. So we did a big push to celebrate that, where folks went out and, told us about toads and frogs and wildflowers that were growing all over the city. And that was a lot of fun to take part in and to see what we were finding and what people were finding in other communities.
Yeah,
After a while, go ahead.
It's really interesting that people are still want to do this, but is there a way for people to know, let's say if you don't know what garlic mustard looks like, can you go on the website or do you go on Google? How do you find out these things so you can sort of do it independently?
Yeah, if you go to the Garlic Mustard Weed Out Week website, which is a2gov.org/GMWOW, we've created videos of how to both identify the plant and to successfully remove it, because they don't pull out as easily as you might hope.
Yeah, because it's one of these things where I was talking to my neighbor. I had new neighbors move in and they had all these trees removed from their backyard. And I was like, why did you remove that whole line of trees in your backyard? And they had an arborist come to their house and it was buckthorn and they didn't
Wow.
know it. And they were like, you want to get rid of this right now. So it's one of those things where I know about buckthorn, but I didn't know that was buckthorn. So
Yeah, we've got tips for IDing it on our website.
yeah. So you were going to mention there was something else that you were doing other than that?
Yeah, so now that we are able to gather outdoors in small groups, we have started hosting our work days again with a lot of changes. So if you've come to a work day in the past, expect it to look a lot different if you come out again. We now are requiring folks to pre-register. We're limiting the number of people to 12. So that we have a safe ratio, and also that we can maintain 6-foot spacing and still be able to hear the workday leader. We require all the volunteers to wear a mask covering their nose and mouth. All volunteers stay 6 feet apart. All of the tools are sanitized between every usage. We also are asking people to wear their own gloves, but if they don't, we provide gloves that are washed between every wear. And of course, if you're feeling ill, please don't come out to the event. Take that day off. And with those precautions, we have been hosting work days most of the summer and autumn, and we intend to continue as long as it's safe to do so. We're carefully monitoring, CDC recommendations, Department of Health recommendations, local health county, our county health department recommendations, to be sure that we're doing everything that makes sense to be doing at this time. Go to our website, a2gov.org/NAP events, where we have all of the upcoming events listed.
Yeah, that's a great resource to know what's happening. And like you said, nowadays you should pre-register before you go. So you should be visiting the website anyways prior to doing one of these volunteer work days. You did mention about bringing your own gloves. You do talk about sort of a dress code you prefer people to wear when they volunteer, right?
Definitely. You should be dressed for whatever conditions are presenting themselves that day. So we do have some nice weather in the winter. Often though, you should bundle up with hats and gloves. Always wear long pants to our work days and kind of heavy duty pants. little thin black leggings aren't going to protect you from all of the thorns and brush that we encounter. Uh, Wear socks and closed-toed shoes. Just kind of be prepared to encounter the hazards that we encounter in nature, things like thorns and poison ivy, and ticks. So, wearing your bug spray during tick season, and being covered up, at least from your toes to your waist will help a lot.
Why do you feel it's important for people in the Ann Arbor community to take part in this and help remove invasives or whatever jobs that you might have with NAP?
Sure. We're working hard to support a whole ecosystem here. We all, love the beautiful butterflies or the cute hummingbirds that come to our bird feeder, but they depend on the natural environment. And so we need to remove the invasive plants in an effort to support the native plants that the whole ecosystem depends on. In addition to doing that good work for the nature, we're finding it is especially meaningful for folks to have something to do with their time where it feels like they're giving back in a COVID safe manner. So our workdays are having that additional social benefit these days, that people are coming together, not too closely, but at least coming together to do something meaningful with a group of people.
Yeah, I don't think you realize how nice it is to talk to someone other than the people that you live with until you get in that situation and you get to talk to somebody else for a little while, and it does feel good. So, I mean, yeah, there's plenty of benefits. What are some of the volunteering opportunities that you have available through NAP?
Yeah, so in addition to the work days, we have other ways that you can volunteer independently if getting together with a group of 12 people doesn't feel right for you. We have our typical events like our breeding bird survey, our butterfly survey, our frog and toad survey, our turtle steward program where you both count turtles but also help maintain their nesting areas. You can also volunteer to be part of our burn crew. All of those trainings are coming up in the spring. And we do have a few new programs that I'm excited to share with you all. A lot of the details are still in the works, but look for more information on our website or our Facebook page. We, again, will do that garlic mustard weed out week. We'll take part in the City Nature Challenge. The City Parks Department right now is hosting a Visit Every Park challenge, where you're encouraged to go out and visit all 161 parks and natural areas. And we're adding a little nap twist to that, where we're encouraging you to bird every park or do a botanical survey at every park and report that information to us. Some of those parks we haven't really done a bird list for yet, so that'll be interesting to learn about. And then finally, we are launching a trail ambassador program this year, where we'll have volunteers out hiking the trails to offer some customer service, helping give directions or maybe do a little interpretation, and also to report any problems to us, things like a tree that's fallen across the trail, or a trail that has a lot of erosion that needs some attention.
Okay, well, on that note, we're going to take just a short break and we'll be back with more from Tina Stevens and NAP. All right, we're back with Tina, and she was just talking about the many volunteering opportunities available through the Natural Area Preservation. And you do, in January, you have some upcoming stewardship days that are on the calendar. Let's talk about some of them. You have Fritz Park. So is that one of the small parks in Ann Arbor? I don't know that park.
Yeah, I don't have the acreage offhand, but I would guess it's about a 5-acre park, a pretty small one, on the west side of town, tucked in between some neighborhoods. A lovely little park with natural areas both on the north and south end, with a little playground right in the middle.
And so what is that? That's just removing invasives? Or are these just removing invasive dates?
Yeah, so at that event, we'll be removing the invasive honeysuckle and the buckthorn that you had mentioned earlier, using both hand saws and loppers to do that work.
So when we're going into these stewardship days, if you have not been trained before, is there some sort of training that we're able to do during the pandemic, or how does that work?
Yeah, when you arrive, we'll have stations set out with all of the equipment you need, spaced 6 feet apart. So each volunteer will go to their station, and we'll do a quick orientation where we tell you a little bit about NAP, and why we're doing the work that we're doing, and then how you're going to do it, including tips for how to best use the hand-sawn loppers. It's not as intuitive as you might think, and how to identify the shrubs that we'll be removing.
And then you have another day, another stewardship day coming up in January, and that's the Buttonbush Nature Area. And I assume that's sort of similar to Fritz Park, right?
Yeah,
And
we'll
so,
be doing the same kind of work, but Buttonbush is one of our newest natural areas. This will be our second workday ever up there, our first time cutting shrubs. It's got a lovely little wetland that we're trying to protect. We don't quite know all of the critters that live in that wetland, but I'm sure there are frogs and toads that depend on that area, and maybe even some other interesting things. So it's really helpful if we can get out there and start cutting those invasive shrubs and protecting that ecosystem.
well, I think that makes it even more fun that it's sort of a new place that hasn't really been explored yet. And there's, you said there's sort of water and stuff there, so you can experience new things and see
Yeah.
what's there and what's available. So yeah, you're learning new things as you go, which is super exciting too when you're volunteering, because I think, you go into it and you're like, yeah, I could get some exercise, I could help out, get some, hard work done, but then you can learn things that I don't think you'd even realize that you're learning as you go. Like for instance, how to identify what buckthorn is, you know?
Yeah.
um, and then you guys are actually doing a big Zoom meeting too about the shorelines, right?
Yeah, every month we have a steward circle. It's the second Tuesday of the month at 7:30 in the morning. And we discuss some topic relevant to stewardship work. And it's kind of all over the place what you're going to learn about on any given month. But in January, we are learning about shoreline restoration, which isn't something we do a lot of at NAP, but we do have the river shoreline. And it'll be interesting to see all of the things that the folks from Cardno have to teach us about shoreline restoration.
I would just like to go back to those stewardship days real quick. How do you choose which areas that you are going to do stewardship days for? Is it like people are contacting you and being like, this area is overgrown with invasives, or is it you guys going out and surveying parks to find out?
We have surveyed all of our natural areas and have ranked them in priority from 1 to 5, 1 being our highest priority natural areas. Those are usually remnant prairies or remnant woodlands that haven't had a lot of disturbance and have a lot of diversity of native plants. And that scale goes down to 5, and a quality 5 natural area has had a lot of disturbance and will be really invaded. So most of our work days actually happen in the quality 2 and 3 natural areas. The ones are pretty nice, so we don't need to do a lot of work out there, but the work we do in the quality 2 and 3 natural areas supports the native plants that are out there and helps give them a little push towards becoming an even higher quality.
And so then every year you guys celebrate World Wetlands Day. And why is that a celebration? Why is that a thing? That's something that everyone around the
Yeah,
world is sort of getting together and volunteering for, right?
absolutely. Wetlands are a really important and endangered ecosystem. People are draining wetlands to make farmland, to build housing, for all kinds of reasons, but they serve a really important function. They are basically our sponge, and without these wetlands, we'll have a lot of ecological issues like flooding, not to mention all of the critters that depend on wetlands that can't live anywhere else. So we celebrate World Wetland Day, and we pick one of our parks that has a wetland that needs a little bit of extra help to remove invasive plants and support the natives that live there.
Why don't you just talk about, before we go, why it's so important to be a NAP steward and imperative to the city's ecological vibrancy that we as citizens of Ann Arbor, and not just the NAP employees, we as citizens are taking part in helping our community thrive.
Yeah, it's important that we all understand the nature that surrounds us. Just to have government employees go out and remove the invasive plants or spread seed for the native plants doesn't really engage everybody's hearts and minds in the work that's happening. I think that people in Ann Arbor already do know and love their natural areas, but it's important that everybody really understand what's out there and why we're doing this work. both, so that they can continue that own work in their backyards or in their school lots or whatever property they're able to make a difference in. And of course, we are supported by a millage, and we want the voters to understand what it is that their tax dollars are going for.
Right, well, thank you so much for being a guest again on the show, Tina.
Thank you for having me.
For more on this and other programs, visit a2gov.org/CTN. Visit youtube.com/CTN Ann Arbor to see all that we have to offer. And remember to like, comment, and share. Thanks for watching and tune in next time to FYI.
Thank